Greetings folks, welcome to the Mothership review. I can't believe this is here. Bob of all trades is nowhere near big enough to get this sent to me as a review unit. I'm just lucky enough to borrow this from a friend. It's absurd. It's a laptop, it's a desktop replacement. I don't know, you be the judge. If your mother found out you spent $6,500 on this, she's probably gonna slap you. Let's roll. The massive box housing the Mothership also includes a backpack. And it's the least they can do at $6,500. But knowing Asus here, the box presentation, would it disappoint? No, not at all. Very nice here, but what's inside is what counts the most. And look at that 10-pound beast. Yes, the fingerprints are real. This is a unit I'm borrowing from a friend. Inside here, all the little goodies that say how cool this machine is, and of course the power supplies, one on each side, 280 watts a pop. Box presentation, awesome. Backpack, very nice. There we have a mouse. It's still factory sealed. I'm going to leave it as such. Now let's see how it works. Setup is simple. Just press down like so. It will release this metal kickstand. You can adjust this with your hands if you want it to lean back a little bit further. The whole keyboard section is magnetized to the front of the chassis. You pull it down. Pretty simple here. Pretty intuitive. Not too bad, Asus. The parts responsible for that kickstand are made of metal and look like they can take a beating. The Mothership uses a 17.3-inch display. It weighs 10.5 pounds and has a CNC unibody design. Inside, we have an i9-9980HK, which is an unlocked 8-core 16-thread chip. It comes from the factory with Thermal Grizzly liquid metal. The GPU is an RTX 2080 200-watt unit, and it too has Thermal Grizzly liquid metal from the factory. We have 64 gigabytes total Samsung memory at 2666. There's 4 DIMM slots total, so feel free to upgrade this to 128 gigabytes. The other 2 DIMM slots, however, are on the other side of the motherboard. For storage, we have a total of 1.5 terabytes spread across 3 NVMe drives in RAID 0. It is blistering fast. 2 of these are connected to the CPU and 1 is on the chipset. Amazing for video editing. The network interface card uses the Intel AX200 Wi-Fi 6. The 90-watt-hour battery with G-Sync was good for about 90 to 120 minutes, of course not gaming, and when you switched this to Optimus switchable graphics, we were getting around the 4 to 4.5 hour range. The display on our Mothership today is the Ultra HD 60Hz G-Sync panel. Not too good for gaming with its 25 millisecond respawn time, but at 100% Adobe RGB, 365 nits, it is quite a joy to look at. Now the optional Full HD 144Hz G-Sync display comes in at 3 milliseconds. It is 100% standard RGB, so not as color vibrant, but nobody's going to complain here, and if it were me, this is the option I would go with. Powering the Mothership is 2 280-watt power supply units, but you can get by with using one, and it will limit the GPU to 150 watts. We will showcase the performance hit on this later. Hint, hint, it's very little. And up top is a 1080p webcam microphone, and we have Windows Hello. 1080p webcam and microphone are located at the top of the bezel, and as you can see, it's going to take more than resolution to improve the image quality from these webcams. Keyboard strokes sound just like this. Overall, webcam is okay. Microphone is not too bad. What do you think? Port selection on the Mothership is solid as it should be, including 1 Thunderbolt 3, 3 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A's, 1 headphone mic combo, a mic port by itself, and a LAN. Moving over to the other side is 2 barrel power ports, an HDMI 2.0. We have a USB 3.2 Gen 1 with USB Charge Plus, a single SD card reader. This is only ultra high-speed 1. I would have liked to seen 2 or 3, as well as a Type-C featuring DisplayPort 1.4. The keyboard is great, features 2.5 millimeters of travel, and due to the nature of the design, the keyboard itself never gets hot. Now the connection is actually magnetized to the chassis and it charges from that. Should you happen to be using it this way and it runs out of battery life, you can use the included USB to USB-C charging for the actual keyboard. The glass Windows Precision touchpad is smooth as can be and has been working flawless. The dedicated buttons are some of the finest that I have used. Asus doing a pretty good job here. And the number pad was actually built into the trackpad at the push of a button. Armory Crate software is a one-stop shop to control the clocks of both CPU and GPU. You could tweak the fan speeds here to a specific percentage on each fan. RGB control within this particular software is solid, and you can also use a phone app to sync everything up and control with your smartphone. However, the smartphone app would not sync with the mothership, and the CPU clocks were, well, let's just say very difficult to adjust, if at all. I would like to be able to showcase some CPU clock increased performance for you guys on the mothership, but unfortunately, I was unable to do so. And since you can't do this in the BIOS, what the heck? We're on the most recent BIOS 302. Maximum fan is at 52 decibels, but due to the nature of the design of the mothership, the exhaust is coming out at around head height. It's very loud and obnoxious compared to a traditional laptop design. Idle acoustics at 28 decibels, but you will have to set this up manually by limiting both fans to 10%. The traditional silent mode will have the idle acoustics fluctuate back and forth and oftentimes sit at around 34 decibels. The GPU and CPU throttle limits are set to 87 and 86 degrees respectively. The following tests are run using the turbo mode profile. Should you desire running your mothership in silent mode, it will lower the GPU thermal limitation to 75 degrees Celsius. Typical max temperatures of the GPU and CPU are at 76 and 80 degrees respectively. Firestrike score, 26,900 on the GPU, 22,300 on the CPU. Time Spy, 8,000 on the GPU, 10,000 on the CPU. Port Royale, 6,400. Cinebench 20, 4,300. Cinebench 15, 1,800. It smashed the handbrake test in 8 minutes. A traditional 6-core 12-thread CPU, such as the 9750H, will pull this in around 13 minutes. Here's 90 seconds of top-notch audio, as long as the keyboard's not in the way. All the gaming footage you are about to see was played in 4K. I did not do any 1080p testing because I already know this hardware smashes Full HD resolution, as I have featured it multiple times before. You might not get solid GPU saturation because Full HD can be a bit of a bottleneck with laptop hardware featuring high-end GPUs, but regardless, we know this could smash Full HD 144 Hz. In fact, if you want one of these freak shows, that's going to be the way you'd probably want to get it. But because we have a 4K panel, let's go ahead and see what the 2080 is made of. Can it hack it? Let's find out. Very impressed with the 2080 at Ultra HD resolution. As you can see here, running Apex Legends on high settings, we have no problem staying above 60 FPS. Goes for Battlefield 5 online, ultra settings, 4K resolution here, over 60 FPS. Yes, it gets close, and every once in a while it would dip under 60, but 99% of the time you're going to stay over 60 FPS on the mothership. 2080, not too bad. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, I did have to tweak some settings. I was having some performance issues, and it seemed like the best performance and feel for the game was making sure I was running G-Sync and keeping the frame rate just under 60. So this is what I went with. The game overall felt pretty good. I was happy with it once these settings were tuned and dialed in. Borderlands 3, I chose medium settings, running G-Sync, capping the frame rate to 60. This gave me the best overall look and feel for this particular title. Rage 2, I had to mix the settings up a little bit. I am running G-Sync here, keeping the frame rate at 60 FPS or below for the best look and performance feel experience from this title. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, once again running G-Sync here. I just ran everything in epic settings because it didn't seem to matter what I did, the game wanted to run like hot garbage anyway, so might as well make it look pretty. Check this out. We are running the mothership on one power supply. I actually get up, plug in the other power supply, and we get a tiny frame rate bump as well as a frequency increase. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the mothership in this instance. With all the testing that I have done with various laptops, some featuring 150 watt 2080, some featuring a 200 watt 2080, the performance impact with that 50 watt increase is minimal at best. Alright, let's wrap it up. The design of the mothership, being able to pull that cool air from the back of the panel, pulling it across the hardware, out of the top, it's very unique and it does a good job of thermal efficiency on these high wattage parts. Let's not forget, of course, we have liquid metal on there. Nonetheless, it's showcasing some excellent thermal performance, and this is ultimately due to the design. Now, the R&D for this had to have been a nightmare. I believe there's only maybe 600 of these things out in the wild, and they are very expensive. When you talk about price to performance, this one's not good. You can get an MSI GT75 that has all of these features from a gaming standpoint and save yourself $2,000 or $3,000. That's the way I would do it if it were my money on the line looking for hardware such as this. Now, when it comes to the port selection, I'm a little disappointed with the UHS 1-speed card reader. At this price, UHS 2, UHS 3, hello, duh, that's a no-brainer. But the thing that annoyed me the most was needing the Armory Crate software to overclock the CPU, and the fact that it was buggy for me. I just couldn't do it. The smartphone app would not connect to it, and the fan control on this particular hardware is heavily needed. We need something far more robust because we are trying to cool several hundred watts of power. Right now, I have to have this thing set to absolute silence so you don't hear it on the microphone. And because of that, I've got to go in there and manually slide over two things, hit it, and then go. And then when I'm ready to game, do a couple more things. I don't know. I'm more of a fire and forget kind of guy. I like to tweak, but I don't want to have to keep tweaking all the time. So that's going to do it. That's my review of the mothership. It's very unique. I don't think it's the future, but it's one heck of a freak show. I'll see you in the next video.